All right, I've been accused of being too negative and pessimistic in my foreclosure videos. So what I want to do now is be more positive and show a different side of these foreclosures. And don't get excited, I'm not going to show you anything that's tremendous, otherwise there'd be no point to these videos. You can watch HGTV, but I'm going to be more positive, I think. I'm down in Edgewood, down in the city, down by in Decatur. Not a bad neighborhood, a lot of old bungalows and whatnot. And we're going to walk through a house that has been rehab, so-called rehab, has been started by what looked like a bunch of Home Depot Rangers and things like that. So I'm going to walk through this house, and this thing will be spliced together because I know some of my things get like the Blair Witch Project and your head starts to explode. So I just want to walk through and hit some of the high points that I see and that anybody interested in these foreclosures that had rehab work done might want to concern themselves with. And this thing is open, it's unfinished, so it's a good opportunity to walk through and see some of the work that we see. And the first thing we're going to look at are these floors. You can see the subfloor, and I hope it shows up. I don't know that it will, but the subfloor is irregular. And at these seams, you can see that it's screwed and glued, but it's not going to lay level. So you need to concern yourself with the finished flooring that these subfloors are laid out and then the edges are cleaned up so that you don't feel the bump and the ridge. You can see that right there. And there are a lot of places, and you're going to see that on these older rehabs because a lot of these joists are going to be out of whack due to age and whatnot and warping. So that's the first thing. So a lot of guys will just slap carpet over that and call it a day. So that's tip number one. And tip number two, especially in these older houses, and we're just going to walk through. This is the lovely kitchen, by the way, which doesn't exist. And for the life of me, I can't understand why that partition wall is there, that framed out wall, because there's the sink stubs right there. And if that's counter height, we must be talking Bigfoot down here because that's a hell of a high counter. And that's up to my armpit and I'm 6'1". So I want to take you into this so-called master bedroom. And you can see the beautiful carpets. And the key here is to look at the tile. When you add tile, you add weight. And if you don't reinforce underneath, you're going to get sag, and that's what we have going on here. And of course you can't see it here. That's where your toilet would sit, but this line of tile right here is breaking down right into that toilet flange, and there's a nice little arc. And you can start to see some cracking here, and that's more than standard cracking with, let me get my light on there, more than standard cracking, and that's probably due to the weight of the tile. As it starts to just knock down on the, and you can see what a lousy job they did as far as trim goes. It's incomplete, but the hopes are it's not going to, the expectation I should say, it's not going to get any better. But the weight of all this tile over this floor, over this subfloor, continues to push it down, and you're going to start to see cracks, and you can see a crack right here. And I hope again, I'll get my light on this, where this cabinet has started to push down with the weight of the granite on the floor and then the cabinet top itself. So you can see the cracks. There's one crack, there's two cracks, there's a third crack, this long crack right along the surface, and more cracks in there. And this floor that I'm walking on is out of whack and out of level. So we'll stop here for a second, then we'll hit another room. Okay, this is another big thing on subfloors. When you're doing an addition or you're looking at a house that's had an addition done to it, you have to make sure that they marry the old and the new. And if they start doing some replacement work, that they bring it together. I don't understand why there's 1.5 inches to a 1/2 inch gap all this way. And that's going to be a problem if it's not treated properly before it comes time to putting the finished floor down. And again, we're back in the kitchen area, and you can see the dark staining on this subfloor because it's been wet. So that's, again, something that you might want to, again, if you're looking at this kind of property, you might want to get in there and have a look at before you put finished flooring on. This is something I definitely want to talk about because this is concrete here, and they jumped right to this new part where they put this addition on. And you can see the gap here, and that's an illustration with the mag light. of the depth between the base, which is, this is a slab, and then the new part that they added. But you also see, I hope you can get a perspective on that, you're about 1 inch off on height. So this existing part needs to be floated up to marry up with the old part, with the new part, I should say. And it's not consistent, so we need to do a little bit of work on that to bring it even. But again, a lot of these guys are just gonna slap in the finished floor right up over the top of that. And you can see some finishing work needs to be done here where the walls come together with the foundations. So you need to be careful when you're looking at any properties that have not been professionally remodeled, and even sometimes the ones that have been professionally remodeled. You need to know what you're looking at on these older houses. And even this existing fireplace, you know, we don't know what the condition of the flue is or any of that kind of stuff. It's got a gas stub in there, but that doesn't mean much. And in this particular house, you can see there's another house, another bathroom that they redid. And I'll call it horrible finishing. I mean, that grout line is 3/4 of an inch. And then on top of that, plastic tub. So it's a mishmash. However, it's typical for what you'll see in a lot of these rehabs, because these guys get the money, they do some of the work, and then they disappear. And you can see the carpets. These are remnants that are laid in, and they're not even laid in properly. We'll check back in a second.